Last week, I spoke about consistency. You may be amazing at what you do, but if you don't consistently show up for your audience, you won't succeed. If this is something that you are struggling with, then go back and give that episode a listen. Now, in this week's episode, I'll be interviewing Lynn from Life Root Farm. Many of you know I have a love of gardening, and when I found out that one of my good friends, Connie from the Paint a Photographer, has a daughter that runs an organic heirloom seed and produce farm in Stanley, Wisconsin, I decided I definitely wanted to have her on my podcast. So I am so excited, you guys, to get that interview started.
Welcome to the Rescued and Upcycled podcast with weekly inspiration, tips on trying new techniques, and overall real talk about owning your own DIY business. Now here's your host, Sonnet Ullenbrock.
Welcome back to Rescued and Upcycled. I'm your host, Sonnet Ullenbrock. I want to thank you all for joining me on my podcast today. If you guys are new here, I do like to interview creatives or other small business owners, and then love talking about all things business. This year, I've definitely tried to incorporate more design and decor topics in my podcast, and you'll find that sporadically sprinkled in the podcast. So I hope that I have been inspiring you along with my guest hosts. And in today's episode, though, like I said, I'll be interviewing Lynn from Life Root Farm. I first discovered Lynn from talking to her mom, Connie, from the Paint a Photographer, about her amazing daughter and her small business that she was growing. In my membership group, we were actually tackling how to create like the best stories and different stories on our different social media platforms. And Connie basically said, "Oh my gosh, my daughter, she shows up almost every single day and creates stories for her audience." So I had to go out and check her out immediately. And then I just started diving into the world of Life Root Farm. And you guys, I was hooked. I was so inspired that I just wanted to go out in the garden, dig my hands in the soil, and start planting. So I know you guys are going to love this interview. So let's go ahead and give a big welcome to Lynn. First and foremost, let me bring her on. And hello, Lynn. Thank you
Hello.
so much for joining. And I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today. So,
Thank you. Good.
yes. So, for my viewers and listeners who haven't had the opportunity to have found you yet, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a wife and a mom to 4 kids that we homeschool. Our kids ages range from 15 to 6 years old. We have
Okay.
about 4 years ago, we moved to where we are now to start a produce farm with the intentions to grow a CSA type produce delivery. But we
Okay.
found ourselves in the last 2 years switching gears, and now we're growing produce to collect the seeds from.
Very cool. I know every business seems like, you always have to pivot where things are going, where the wind blows you, right? So,
Exactly. Yes.
wow. So do you do anything now with the CSA, or that just kind of was kind of pushed to the wayside?
Right. I do not do CSAs anymore. We do
Okay.
have a roadside stand, and so we will fill that weekly.
Okay. So the home that you have now, did you purchase it for specifically because it was like a farm or a farmette dedicated to doing this?
So we've had this land for about like 8 years before we started, and so we just camped here. There's nothing; it's just raw land. There's nothing here. And then COVID hit, and we decided we had all our eggs in one basket, and that was my husband's work, and we needed to diversify. So we started
Okay.
this farm out here. And so we built a shop with the intentions of just using it as a farm. Well, we market was great. We sold our home and we built a home out here. So
Oh, I
um,
love it.
yeah, so we built out here to keep the farm
Okay.
going and be right here with it.
Okay. So that was basically how you decided to start this small business then, is COVID hit and you just had to pivot at that point. Okay. So what were you doing prior to starting the business?
Yeah, so I I was a stay-at-home mom, and we
Okay.
homeschooled our kids, growing gardens in the backyard, and I always had a dream to um, do the CSA produce delivery because I was growing in excess. I had plenty to share, and there's other people out there who can't grow gardens or can't get their hands on the produce. So why can't I do the CSA delivery?
Right.
But I didn't want to do it alone. I wanted Jesse to do it with me, and he was like, I'm not there. Go ahead and do it, but I'm not there. And I was like, no,
Okay.
I don't want to do this alone. And
Okay.
so I was like, I'll wait. I will wait. I will pray for you. So
Oh,
um, years later, when that COVID happened, he was deemed a non-essential employee, and so he wasn't working. And it was springtime, and so he's watching me grow. And he had got me a greenhouse that year before, not knowing what was in store for us. And so I was growing garden starts and hanging baskets, and people were catching wind that I had this stuff, and they're coming out um, and buying from us. And so he's watching these women come in and grab stuff and leave, and he's like, I think we could do something. We have this land. Let's explore that. And
right.
so we sat down late one night and poured all our thoughts out and visions, and ran with it.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about you said Jesse, correct?
Correct. Mhm.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about your husband then and what role he plays in your business.
Yeah. So he he is the financial part right now.
Okay.
So he works as a psychologist for the state of Wisconsin. They hire him to do evaluations and testing for the Disability Bureau. So he does that 4 days a week, and then he's here with me. He on the weekends and nights, and so yeah, he helps me stay in line and not keep going in all the directions. And yeah, he is essential here.
Yes, yes. I even though my husband doesn't run the business with me, he does play that same kind of role. He keeps me in line and like
Right, right.
he grounds me because I do brainstorm with him as well.
Yeah,
And he's like, maybe you need to reel it in a little bit, Sonnet. not
right,
not go that route yet. So
right, right.
but he is my biggest fan and supporter. So you definitely need that.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. So now, when he was watching you, selling all of these things and doing all of this, I just need to know, like, what was your background where you knew how to do all of this stuff? From your
Um,
mom?
yeah, no, yeah. And my mom has a scrapbook of us, and she went and asked each kid, "Will you be a gardener when you grow up?" And my response was, "No." Like, no, I will not. So
Yeah.
yeah, I grew up with that. I have aunts who do this. And so it was just, you bought a home, we're married, we finally get to purchase our first home, you start having babies, and it feels like the next like maternal instinct is grow food for your family. And so I went head over heels into it, and just called the aunts and talked to my mom and like help. So
Oh my gosh,
just
I love it.
yeah.
Yeah. I know well, my love of gardening really stems all the way back. I still have a memory with my great grandparents in a vegetable
Great.
garden, and we had seeds and we were planting them. And I was trying to understand. And I kept saying to them, I think you've already planted seeds here. I just remember like specifically, they're like, no, we haven't. We know exactly what we're doing, and I was
Right,
just so
right.
tiny. And
Yeah,
but I just remember that. And my love of the poppies are
yeah.
from my great grandma as well, because along the side of her house, she always in spring had the whole side was full of poppies. So in my logo, I have poppies because of her.
That's
So,
sweet. Sweet,
oh, I
sweet.
know. So I love it that even though you never thought you were going to be a gardener, it was instilled in you at a very young age from your mom. So,
Yes, yeah.
um, so, I looking over, I was on your website kind of peeking around. And so tell me more about your current business. And now are you growing just heirloom seeds? Is that what you're doing at this point?
Correct, correct. So we are growing heirloom and open pollinated seeds. Um, and so we grow it here, we harvest the seed, we package it up, and then we send it out to consumers.
Okay. So how I guess my first thought, like, me envisioning I love gardening. Oh my gosh, this sounds like a dream
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
a company to have, a small
yeah.
business. And I guess you just start small and you learn and you learn from, things that work and don't, but how did you figure out all the processes for this?
Right. You try to start small and it just blows
Right.
up, right?
Yes, yes.
Oh yeah. So we had um it kind of goes back a little bit if I could do some
Oh,
storytelling here for
yes, absolutely.
so we were growing the produce, right? We were going to do the CSA boxes. And so we were at church one Sunday and a gentleman from my husband's Bible study, his brother was there. And Jesse's talking with him, introducing himself, and he's like telling him we're growing produce, we have big gardens, and he's like, I have a business opportunity for you. Are you guys interested? And we're like, well, sure. And he's like, I know this couple. They have a seed farm and a catalog, and they sell seeds, and they're getting to the age where they just can't keep up with it. It's growing. They're not getting any younger. They're looking for someone to pass this on to. And so we're like, great. We'll take a look at it. So we phone call. It went great. A couple weeks later, we're actually at their farm, like touring it, seeing what they do, and we're interested. We're like, we can do this. This looks pretty doable for the state of life right now. We can handle this. So yeah, so they sent us what we start with. So grow this many tomatoes and peppers and melons and squash. Taught us how to collect the seeds from it,
Okay.
and then every year they come back out at the end of the season, see what we have, guide us, help us to improve. There's always improvement. And
Yeah.
then they teach us like, so you have to do like separation and keep from cross pollinating. And so yeah, learning from them is how we're working this.
Okay, so you are yeah, that makes a lot of sense because 'cause I'm like, how I would have no idea how to even start doing
Right. Right.
anything like that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that is amazing
Yeah.
that, they have definitely taken you under their wing to help you.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
assuming then in hopes that maybe someday you'll just take over everything? Is that what
Correct.
you're
Yep. That's the goal. Yep. Yep. But right
Oh,
now we have to make sure we're doing like it's important. You're sending these seeds out to customers and they want to make sure they're getting what you tell them they're going to get
right.
and that it germinates. And so it's a whole learning curve. And um,
Yes. So do
yeah.
you like once you harvest the seeds, then do you take like X amount and do you try to make sure that they germinate and you do
Correct.
that?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So there's
Yep.
a whole process with that too.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So you grow, you harvest, you germinate, test, and then you send.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you create your own packaging or did you use the packaging that they have or are you're sending the seeds out that you're growing for them?
Correct. I held some back. This was the first year I held some back. Years
Okay.
before, I just gave them everything, and this year I was like, "Hey, let me just try. Let me just see what I can do." So I held
Okay.
some back of everything we grew this year or last year, and I love logos, designs, packaging like that.
Yes.
That is so fun to me. So of course, I had to get my hands in there and do a packaging. So
Right?
yes, I do. I do have packaging.
Yes, I saw it actually on your I think it was at like a photo on your website of all this packaging.
Sure.
I'm like, "Oh my
Yes.
gosh, it's so
Yeah.
pretty." It looks
Right.
so
And
good.
yeah.
Yeah. I know, as a lover of gardening, and I just remember, like, I would get, like, a bunch of seed catalogs in spring, and half
Mhm.
the time I'm like, "Okay, so I don't even know what this is." It was, like, line
Right.
by line by line, and
Yes, yes.
I'm like, "I don't even know what I'm buying." So I'm
You
skipping
go by
over
the
all
name.
that. Yeah, and I would go down to the ones that actually had photos that I could actually, like, look like, "Oh, this is what it is? Oh, I like that," or,
Yep.
so,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes a description is just not enough. I think a
Right, and
photo.
then sometimes you get you order it and it comes and you're like, what was that? So I'm making sure every packet has the picture so you remember what should be growing.
That's awesome. I love it. That's a great idea. So,
Right.
now I know that your mom is a photographer. Are you as well? Because the pictures on your website and on your Facebook page and your, like all your socials are amazing. So, do you like dabbling in that too?
I have taken her class so many times. And I still I cannot go on manual mode. It's like, whoop, I cannot do it. But thanks to iPhones, they're pretty amazing.
They
So
are.
I do have some of her skills, not
Oh,
as many. So,
oh,
yeah,
that's good. I just was like, wow, they're so good. So,
yeah. Thank you.
um, and I think she said we went thrifting together, her and I,
Yeah,
and
right.
she's like, I just took my daughter's, like, I think it was like maybe photos for your family. And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
my gosh, these are so good.
yeah. Yes,
So
yes, yes.
yeah, she's really, really good. So since starting your business, tell me about some of the challenges that you have faced.
Yeah. So one of my challenges is not going in all the directions, right? So
Right.
there was a season where we're doing the CSA boxes and we're not only just doing the CSA boxes, we're driving them to drop spots. And then some people can do delivery to their home. And so we're going to homes and we're going to drop spots. And then let's throw in a farmer's market because we really need to get our name out there. So now we're going to a farmer's market and
Yes.
now we're going to throw in growing for seed. We were just stretched way too thin. Um, and we had to let something go. And so that was really hard. The first year, you're like, I know I need to let this go, and you don't. And you do it again the
Mhm.
next year. And the
Right.
next year, you're done. You cannot do it. So that was a challenge that I have faced is not doing it all. And
Yes.
I mean, we homeschool. My husband has a job. Like I work for him through that job. And so all the
Oh, wow.
channels, you can't do it all.
You can't. No,
Mm-mm,
absolutely.
mm-mm.
Um, I know I feel your pain because I am at a cross point in my business right now that certain new areas are expanding and growing. And now I'm trying to decide where I need to pivot, what I need to let go. And I do want to do them all. So,
Right, right.
yeah.
You do. And my heart did. Like I started, the whole thing was I wanted to do those CSA boxes. And to let
Mhm.
that go was like, but this is what I wanted.
Yes. No, I
Yeah.
know. I know. So when you were asked, so did you know right from the beginning that you were going to eventually take over this business, or was it just like, I'm going to help these people out, and then after a period of time they said, do you want to take over, like eventually take over the business?
It was the main goal from the get-go.
Oh, it
Yeah.
was.
It
Okay.
was.
Oh, good. Okay, so you at least you knew that you weren't just helping them out. You know what I mean? Like helping
Right,
grow it and
right,
do it.
right.
Like the ultimate goal was that you were going to take over the
Yep,
business. So,
yep,
okay.
yep.
So if there are any listeners out there that are thinking, gosh, I would love to do something like this. Do you have any tips that you want to, or any advice that you would give the listeners about doing a business startup like this?
Yeah, my advice would be go slow. Go slow. And you start with this one thing that you think is it. I'm going to do this. And then all of a sudden it takes a hard right turn and you're doing something else. Be flexible. Follow those curves and those changes and see where they go. Don't say no right away. Like go
Yeah.
slow, see what it is, let it unfold.
Right. Yes. That is great advice because in any small business, I see people like diving in way too fast. They take on way too much. They become
Yes.
way too overwhelmed, or they're trying to tackle like even like expanding on social media, doing too much, or trying to be on all the platforms. Like learn one thing first and then, continue on. So great
Correct. Yes. Yes.
advice. Yeah.
Yes.
So, did you have any schooling or for this at all? I just have to find out any background of running a business, of,
Right.
gardening, anything like that.
No, I went to school to be a paralegal.
Okay.
So, no, I don't. I do have like work skills, right? So we got married really young. I was 20 years old. We got married, and then 2 weeks after our wedding, we moved to Portland, Oregon, for him to go to grad school.
Okay.
And so I'm fresh out of college. I have this paralegal degree. We're moving to Portland, so I think, yeah, this is it, right? I'm going to be some big shot paralegal in downtown Portland. That didn't happen. So, you apply for jobs daily. 3 months go by, I still have nothing, and we need to make some income. So I just start applying to whatever I think I can do, and I end up in a small manufacturing business. And so it was super tiny. So I got skills by just watching how they ran this business, how they track inventory, ship inventory, the programs they use, and they let me fly. So I got to learn programs that I would never have access before. So in design, learning how to do some of that stuff and doing their graphics, and yeah.
That's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
hands-on experience like that is just amazing. I mean,
Right. And
yeah.
you learn the connections, right? You learn how to
Mhm.
find your people, and yeah, it was good. It was really good.
Yes, yes. Oh, absolutely. I love it. And as well, like I feel like my experience too that I've had in like my past jobs has really helped with my business. So I
Yes.
agree completely.
Yes.
So what do you find to be the most rewarding thing from your business?
I really like growing it all, like getting to take that tiny seed and watch it flourish, and you get this fruit back or vegetable back from it, and then taking that and then cooking with it and making a meal. I love that. I'm starting to learn that I love teaching as well. So I'm hosting some seed starting classes. So inviting some people in to learn how to grow their tomatoes and peppers from seed. Um, giving back.
Right.
That has been pretty rewarding.
That is awesome because, like, well, as a master gardener, like, I would hear from people that would, come to our events that they would buy these seeds, and it was funny because, a seed pack has like so many seeds and they would want to grow every single one of them. And then they would
Me
have
too.
like
Me too.
100 tomatoes or whatever it was.
Yes. Yeah.
Or, they would, like, or they didn't know how to take care of them properly.
Mhm.
Why are they getting, like diseases and,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
that. And
Yep. Yep.
so I love that you're doing the workshops. I think that's going to go over so well.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've never done a workshop before, but we're getting people to sign up, and so it should
Yes.
be really fun. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and I think too, since COVID, and people were able to slow down their lives so much and they realized like, growing, when there was like a shortage of things and people like really enjoyed growing different things. So I love it. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
it's going to go over very well. So where you live, tell me about, is it a fairly large city or like Stanley? I was like Stanley, Wisconsin.
Very tiny. Very, very
Very
tiny.
tiny. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Um,
Very
but are
rural.
very rural. Okay. So are there is it near, like, I thought I saw somewhere it said it was near Eau Claire, is that correct?
Correct. Right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. 45 minutes from Eau Claire, probably.
Oh, 45. Okay. So people could still attend,
Yes.
like, or
Yeah.
like drive. It's
Absolutely.
within driving air. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, like right from the beginning though, like as a 20-year-old when you were in Portland, Oregon and doing all that, in the back of your mind, did you ever think, someday I think I might want my own small business? Was it ever a glimmer of like a thought?
No, no. Never on my radar. However,
Never.
it was
Okay.
no, my husband discovered business while in grad school. So that 3 months where we're not having any income, he starts flipping records on eBay.
Oh,
And so then from records, we go to importing, and it's a whole big jazz, but we start importing motorcycle alarms, and he's designing LED light kits for motorcycles. And
oh my gosh.
he grows this entire business during grad school. So he loves business and thrives on that, and discovered that. And so, yeah, so we grew this motorcycle business, and then we started having kids, and we're 2 kids in, and that business needs to go to the next level, and we're not the people to take it to the next level. And so we decided to sell it. and
Okay.
um, and he was like, I let that business go in hopes that another one would come. And
Oh,
so this is kind of a second
this
one
is
for us.
yeah, it's like his baby,
It
like
was. It did. It felt like our firstborn child, and then it drove away, and I was like, oh. But
oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah,
So, as you guys were starting this business, I mean, how did you come up with the name of your small business then?
yeah. So I love naming and logos, and so I even our little backyard garden, I was like, when you can, I'd put a little label on there with a design of something. And so when we're hashing out what this farm could look like. And I kept calling everything by our last name. Our last name is Fry. And so I kept calling it Fry Farms. And he's like, we need something more.
Yeah.
so so he came up with Life Root Farm. And it all goes back to your roots, right? Your roots of your
Yeah.
life, and help you to like thrive and just keep going. And so it's stuck. We're Life Root Farm. So
I love it. I love
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Like it is back to your roots. So, a
Yes.
great
Yes.
name.
Yep. Yep.
Yes. So, now, this is a family affair. I was reading on your website too that
Yes.
like
Yeah.
everybody chips in and helps.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I love how you've incorporated your children into the business as well. So tell me a little bit about that because I have a 17-year-old that
Okay.
seems to think that her
Oh.
bedroom is the place to be and she doesn't want to come out and see us unless she absolutely has to. So
Teens are a whole new animal.
I know. And she
Yeah.
used to love me, just so you know, like, well, she
I
still
know.
does, but you know what I
Yeah. Yes. 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 It just looks different right now. It'll
Yeah,
come back.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we have 4 kids, and we're getting to the stage where as they get older, they want real jobs, right? And
Oh, yes.
so
Yes, oh my gosh, that sounds so familiar too, okay.
yeah. And so our older 2 are our oldest for sure has her job. She is working, and so she has kind of stepped out. But
Okay.
now that she has stepped out, she misses it and loves what we get to do. And so she loves to come back and hop in those gardens with us on the weekends when she has time. And so our next one, Max, he's my maintenance guy, right? He is keeping the grounds looking sharp, right? So
Oh my
he does
gosh.
that. And then the girls, they're out there with me helping me plant and harvest and package for the roadside stand. So yeah, it every all hands on deck for sure. For
Okay.
sure.
Yes, absolutely. So, I have to, like, ask, like, do they get, like, an allowance for helping?
Yes, we do. We
Okay.
do. We have them track their hours, and and we do pay them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's where I went wrong. No.
Yeah. No, it's so
Um
hard.
Yeah, no, so Caitlin, my daughter, she would come with me to like I would do vendor events and like we
Right.
would pop up it's a lot of work to pop up an event
Oh,
like for a
yeah.
weekend and then break it down and then
Yeah.
restock and then do another one. And so she
Yep.
was like my right hand lady. And so
Yep.
maybe I think I burned her out a little bit, but maybe eventually she'll come back. I don't know. So
I did that. I burnt those kids out when we were doing all those avenues and channels. I had everyone burnt out. If you mentioned like, "Hey guys, I need," and they would just like
I
cower, like, "Please, you need nothing. Let us
yeah,
just be."
yes.
So, yes, I have burnt them out, but I think I've
Oh,
recovered.
oh good. Oh good. So how old are your children?
Yeah, so our oldest is 16 or 15. And then our next one is 14. And then we have a 10-year-old and then a 6-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a nice little family. Oh, I
Yes.
love
Yes.
it. So let's talk now about your seeds.
Yeah, yeah.
So you said this is the first year that you've held some back. So how many varieties did you hold back, or how many varieties are you offering?
Yeah, we are up to 55 varieties this year that we're
Wow.
offering. Yes, yes. So from lettuce to tomatoes to cucumbers to peppers, some watermelon, corn.
Okay. So I was like, are you doing all annuals and do you do any perennials at all? No, it's just all
No.
seed.
Mm-mm.
No.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, just how you said that, no.
Not yet. We'll get there.
Okay. I didn't know. I'm like, does she not like perennials? No.
No, I knew. I knew. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what have been okay, so and these are all do you do just strictly heirloom?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Heirloom or
I love it.
open pollinated. Yep.
Okay. So let's tell our viewers why heirlooms are like so I personally think they are so much better than the non-heirloom. I mean, they taste better, they or maybe you want to go into it.
No, yeah. So yeah, heirloom is just it's so different compared to your so most of what you're getting at the grocery store is a hybrid. So
Yep.
they're taking two tomato we'll use tomatoes. They're taking two tomatoes. This one may produce a lot and this one might be really hardy. So they're crossing them and you're getting this third tomato essentially. And so the taste might not be great, but it'll last a long time on your counter. Where
Right.
heirlooms, your taste is spot on every time. Yeah, there it's just
Yes.
there's a world of difference. If I can get someone to try them, even like my kids have noticed if I bring cucumbers home from the grocery store right now, they're like, we can't eat those. So something's wrong with it. They have no flavor. I'm
Yes,
like, I
exactly.
know.
Yes. Um, so there is a funny story about my daughter and an heirloom tomato. So being a master gardener, they
Yeah.
had these seeds that they gave away. And I don't even know what the name of this tomato was, but it was a cherry tomato and it was purple. And they're like, yes, just harvest like one of your last tomatoes and keep the seeds and then you can start them again next year. So there was one tomato left on I was just letting it, like, ripen the
Yep.
rest of the way,
Yeah. Right.
and my daughter, who was very little at the
Oh,
time, she must have been,
no.
like, 5 or 6, and I said, "Do not eat that tomato, please. Mommy wants it for I'm gonna harvest it, and I'm going to keep the seeds." She's like, "Okay, mom." And the next thing, all of a sudden, I turn around, and she's got it in her mouth, and I'm like, "Caitlin, I just literally told you not to eat it." No, that was the last of that tomato, so I was like,
Gone forever.
I know, I'm like, I should never even said, but,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, all I was going to do was actually put the seeds on, like, a piece of paper towel. I probably not even doing it right, but put it on the piece of paper towel, dry them out, and then, like, make sure that they were good for the next year. I was gonna toss them in my fridge. They may not even have lived.
Right.
So
Yeah, for tomatoes, you gotta ferment them, and yeah, it's a whole
okay.
process for
Yeah.
tomatoes.
So but yeah, that is I'm glad that you talked about the hybrid because yes, you're getting ones that are like disease resistant or like and can withstand, like
Yeah.
neglect from us, like
Right,
the
right.
consumer.
Yes. Yeah.
So not that heirlooms you can't grow, you can grow them just as easy, but
Yes,
yeah,
you
the
can.
flavor is absolutely amazing.
It
So
is. Yep, yep.
um so tell me about some of your top sellers.
So some of my top sellers. So for cherry tomatoes, we have one called Sweet Aperitif. That
Ooh.
one is really popular. It is so good. I bring when people come down for tours. I will have them like sample the tomatoes as we're walking through, and that sweet aperitif gets everybody. And I always thought the yellow one, like we have amethyst cream, which is still I still love that guy, but they all that sweet aperitif wins every time. And so now we have this year we have a pepper. It's called a striped sugar rush peach. Um, that thing is flying. People are ready to try it, and so that's been a
Okay.
top seller. Yeah.
Awesome. So, are some of these varieties what you can find on the roadside at your little at the
Right. Right.
your
Yep.
stand.
So
Okay.
we collect all the seeds, and they're still producing once we have those seeds. And so we will definitely put those out there.
Nice. Awesome. I love it. I'm
Mhm.
gonna have to go back and write that name down.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
and also with that said, like, are these varieties or seeds like just exclusive to you, or do you have, or can they be found elsewhere too?
Some of them are exclusive. Not all of them. No.
Oh,
No.
I was curious about that because I mean, sometimes some of the heirlooms, I mean, I'm I'm sure are like lost. I mean, like that's they so
Right. So
yeah.
the farm we're working with, she would get she would get a rare seed someone would hand her, and then she'll grow it out and put it back into production.
Okay.
So
That's
and then
interesting.
you can only get it through her. So
Okay.
yeah. Yep.
Hmm. So let's talk a little bit more about that. It sounds so like interesting, like
Yeah.
a rare
So
seed.
he has a bean called goose gullet bean because a hunter was out there and got a goose and found a bean in the gullet of the goose and saved the bean, gave it to her, and she started growing it out.
Really?
There, yes, it's bizarro. And there's another one where there was somebody in Italy and they were eating or no, they got a tomato from a market and they really liked that tomato, that sun-dried tomato, and they saved the seeds, brought it back. She started growing it out. There was a pepper. I can't remember which pepper it is off the top of my head, but they're again overseas. They eat this pepper. What pepper is this? The cook brings them the branch and they get the pepper back here and get it to her, and she starts growing it out.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is
yeah. So
awesome.
yeah,
Okay, so a
and
little different than what I was thinking. Like I was thinking like some people found some seeds that, were like in an attic or you know what I'm saying?
there is that too, like little
Oh,
clay pots buried in the ground, and they're like, give them to her, and they're hundreds of years, and she can get them to grow and puts them back into production. And yes, yes,
wow.
yes.
I love it. That is so
Yep. Yep.
interesting. Oh, gosh, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
Like I would be
So
like if some I mean, and it obviously takes skill. You can't just go, "Okay, I'm gonna throw this in." Like, a
right.
container or whatever. I mean, obviously she
Yeah.
has the skill to like nurture it. I mean, she took it out of a
Correct.
goose for,
Yeah.
the bean out of a goose. So,
Yeah. They did. Yep. And gave it to her, and sure enough,
yeah,
she gets it to grow.
that is awesome. So, well,
Yep.
goodness. So,
Yep.
now your mom was telling me that now did you create your own catalog with the 55 seeds that you
I
currently have
did.
in
I
production?
did.
You did. So
I
let's talk
did.
about this
I did.
catalog because
Yeah.
your mom said it was like coming together like amazingly. So,
Oh, she's too kind. Yeah. No, yeah, so I love magazines and think it would be so fun to have a magazine, and couldn't wait to get a catalog into production. And so when we have an event out here in May and people come, and it's so hard to buy a tomato plant if you don't know what you're getting. So I thought if
mhm.
I put this into a catalog, it has a description, it has a picture, they know what they're looking for when they come out here and get a plant. So yeah, I put all the seeds, the 55 seeds are in there this year,
Okay.
and put it into a cute little downloadable PDF. I'm not ready to print it yet.
Okay,
I'll
that's
get
what I
there.
was gonna ask you next.
Yeah.
Like, are you
Yeah.
like sending it? I mean, that's a big like undertaking too. So,
Yes. 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 We'll get there, but not yet.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you will eventually get to that point. So I'm assuming you're like you're getting repeat customers and really how are you getting the word out that just by word of mouth initially and being like on your social medias? Is that how you're finding your true customer?
Sure. Yes. So I do a newsletter. So I'm not consistent. So it goes out every couple weeks. I'll send out a newsletter so people are hearing about the seeds we have for sale that way. And then doing Instagram and Facebook, I post about it there. I also this year went over to Etsy because we're so rare and heirloom, I thought people are going to search over there for unique
Yeah.
items. And so we've been doing great on Etsy, putting them on Etsy and getting them to move over there. And we just did eBay this week. I can't remember if it was this week or last week. We threw some on eBay to see, just to drive people, like they find that one item, we ship it out with our business card in there, and then they can find the rest of our items that way.
Wow. I never would have thought to sell seeds on eBay.
I know. Yeah, yeah. And so we
That
have seed starter kits too. So like the trays and the pots. And so we're putting those on eBay as well. So yeah,
awesome. I
yeah.
like it.
Yes.
Very entrepreneurial of you,
Right.
like coming up
Right.
with other things other than seeds, like all the other things that go along with it.
Right,
Um,
right. They're hard to find if you start seeds and you shop your local stores. You can't, like, they just give you the starter tray. You got to pot those up into the next sizes. And where do you find that? So, yeah,
right. Oh
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So, um, very like so you're on Etsy, you're on eBay now, you have your online store. Is that something like when did you create this online store? Just recently when you started offering the 55 seeds?
Yeah, so I had to kind of flip our online store. So our online store used to be produce, right? Because we were
Oh,
doing the
right.
CSA
Yes.
boxes,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
Right.
so now I have to flip it to seeds. And so getting people to switch gears, because they'll see a tomato, they'll see a head of lettuce and be like, I can get a head of lettuce right now. And it's like, no, you're getting the packet to grow your own.
Yeah.
So yeah, redesigning that all and getting everybody to kind of switch with us.
Yes. It's always
It's
a work in
working. It's
progress.
working.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
it's working. Good.
it
Yeah,
is
good, good.
working. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that, just I always like my website is just a work in progress. It's like it always seems like it's needing me to do something and to update something. And so
I know.
I
Yeah.
know. It's like, when you talked about being pulled in so many different directions, I think that like the average consumer doesn't realize what a small business owner does. I mean, they are like all over you know what I mean? It's like you have
Agree.
yeah,
Agree.
yeah,
Mhm,
it's just
mhm.
crazy. So, your website though looks amazing.
Oh, thank you.
So, for our listeners here, what is the website so that if they do want to, take a peek at the seeds that you offer,
Yeah, it's
what is
liferootfarm.com.
okay. Good, good. Sometimes, I wanted to say
Right.
that, but
Yes,
like
yes.
you could have thrown a one in there. Or so, like I'm
I know,
curious,
right?
like what, it's to me, it's like keep it simple with the,
Yes,
your
yes,
your
yes.
website.
Yeah.
Um, so you talked about being on social media and your mom always talks about your stories. So I have to find out like, do you do a story like every morning and like how do you come up with the topics to talk about? And like just tell me about the process, I
Yes,
guess.
yes, yes. I love stories. I didn't know that I would love stories, but I do. I love the simple everyday moments, and just sharing it back. The hard, the yucky, the good, the bad. Like I'm
Yeah,
just to share it back and make people feel not alone, right? We all
right.
are in this together. And I do not plan. I do not
You
have a set
don't
routine. I do not. The the chaos of gardening and mom life and homeschool, like kids are here all the time, and so it's just I stuff naturally comes up
okay.
to just share. And yeah, yeah.
Okay. So
And
it's
all
like
the
whatever's
animals. Yeah.
happening is happening, and this is like what you're gonna get. The authentic your authentic self is what's happening at that moment.
Yes, yes, and if something hilarious happens, I'm like, "You guys gotta laugh, like, let's not take life so seriously." Like,
Right. And I think so many people do, like
yes,
everything's got to be serious. And like people get so up in arms about stuff, like when things aren't going right. And like yesterday, too, like I felt like everything was going wrong. And I'm like, I just made a post like, oh, welcome to the Hot Mess Express over here, because
right, right.
honestly, like,
Yes,
you guys know me and
we
know me,
We don't
Like,
all have it together.
no, like there are days. And like I think a lot of times like your viewers or your followers have a perception like you just do it all and everything go is perfect. And I just like to give them a taste of like sometimes reality. Like it's not always perfect.
Absolutely. Yes, yes,
So
yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
I love it. So I
Yeah,
know because I wanted to start incorporating stories into my business.
yeah,
And so then your mom's like, you need to watch her. And so I'm like,
yeah.
okay.
Oh,
But
that's
I
fun.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with your social media, before you started your business, did you have any type of following or did you just set up your business pages and like just start it like just from
Yeah,
scratch?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm an OG blogger, right? From back
Oh,
in the
yeah.
day when we were living in Portland, Oregon, blogging was huge. And so I started blogging and loved it. Got a Instagram came around. By the time I hit 3 kids, I could no longer keep up a blog. Instagram came, you post a picture with a little story and you can look back on that in years to come and be triggered a memory. Like that was my jam. And so
Yeah.
then when we started getting the greenhouse, we got the greenhouse before we had the business. And so I thought, I'm not going to bore everybody on my personal account with this gardening stuff. I'll just start a
Right.
gardening page. And so I started that. And now I've abandoned my personal page and I do the gardening one. And yeah, I had to grow it. I had to grow it from scratch. Still growing it. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I know it's amazing like one post or one reel or whatever can take your small following and just explode it. So,
Right, right.
yeah, like on for instance on my Instagram, I just remember I was like at like 3,000 followers and I thought I was doing great. I'm like I have 3,000 followers, although I would look at other people and I'm like, wow, they have like 10, 20, 30, 100,000 people and I still am very proud of my 3,000. And
Yes.
one day I made a post. It was the silliest post ever. I took a video of this woman's front yard of her Halloween decorations. And I asked everybody, is there such a thing as too many Halloween decorations?
Yes.
And that post literally blew up. I mean, I grew from like that small following and now I have like 22,000 followers from that one single post. And I'm like,
Isn't
oh
that
dear
wild?
God, but
Yeah. Yeah.
then I'm thinking to myself, I'm hoping like they would have looked at my channel and realized what I'm all about before they followed
Right,
me.
right. Yes.
I don't normally just post about Halloween. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, so, um, what do you like? I guess my next question is, well, I was going to ask you if you have a calendar and you don't, you said, so you just
I
wing it
don't,
and
I
like
don't.
what's
Yeah.
going and,
Yeah.
because it sounds like you are so busy. So have you
Right.
ever
That's why
thought
I
of,
can't do a calendar.
oh, you can't do it.
I can't do a calendar because well, I do a calendar for life. I don't do a calendar for social media because
Okay.
I just I'm a mom. I've got, and work for my husband also and
Yeah.
homeschooling and I can't
Yeah.
I could be strapped down to this if I really wanted to be and that's not where I want to be. So
Right.
I just it's all natural.
Right. No, absolutely. And I think like you said earlier too, like you're doing what you love and yes,
Yes,
and
yes.
just yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. So,
And documenting is my favorite. And so stories feels like documenting. So
right. I love it.
Mhm.
So good. So you had mentioned too that you are doing a May event. And like now this is like you've done this for several years, correct? How many years are we on?
Ooh. Um, I count the first year. Jesse doesn't count the first year.
He doesn't.
No. So I think it's year 4 or 5, depending
Okay.
what side you want to be on.
Why? Okay, I have to know why doesn't he count the first year?
Um, the first year wasn't like it was.
It
Yeah,
wasn't official.
it wasn't official. It wasn't
Okay.
official. Yeah, it was great, but it wasn't
Like
official.
it
It
wasn't
was
like,
like
okay, we're
friends and
doing this.
family, right?
Oh, it was
Friends.
friends and family. Okay. I love it. So what do you have a name for the event or is it just like Life Root Farm?
Yeah, we just call it Market on the Farm.
Oh,
It's like a farmers market style event.
okay.
We throw up some big tents because it's what is that? May 10th, I believe. It's the Saturday
Okay.
before Mother's Day. And so you don't know what kind of weather you're going to get in Wisconsin. It
You
could
do not
rain, it could be
remember.
lovely. So
Yeah.
we just throw up a tent. And so we're committed. Come on out and hang out under the tent. And we put all the vendors under one big tent. And
Oh, okay.
so, yeah. Yeah. Market on the farm is what we call it.
Market on the farm. I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Do you plan on ever like expanding and doing several markets on the farm or just the May one? Because, like you're springing into, you're falling into spring. I'm assuming that's why to really kick off the
Right.
planting.
Right. So yeah, we sell all our garden starts. We grow excess garden starts to share. So we sell our garden starts, our hanging baskets, our flowers. Um, and then other vendors come in and sell as well. But I've thought about a fall event, but I'm not there yet.
Okay. That's what I was gonna say, like, you could do a fall event. You know how
Right.
fun that
All
would
the
be?
pumpkins we have.
Pumpkins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I didn't even know you had pumpkins, but I mean, it would be
Yes. Yep.
so awesome,
Yes.
and you could I mean, do you sell pumpkin seeds too?
Yep. Yep.
You do? Oh.
Yes.
I know my little nephew, I bought him the gigantic pumpkin seeds,
Yes.
I'm like,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
"Okay, let's grow pumpkins together." I think that would be so cool, but
Yep. Yeah.
I think they need more to get that big. It's not just a seed that does it. I don't think it's the strain. Is it the strain or do you really I think they give them something. I mean,
I will find out this year. I have to grow one this year.
okay, because I am like, I want to
Checkbox.
do it, but I'm like, I think there's got to be more to the whole thing rather than just, oh, that's a gigantic pumpkin seed. I'm gonna plant it and get that.
Yeah, I've read the children's books where they're feeding milk and plucking the other ones off. Yeah. There's a
Okay,
lot of work into that.
yeah, I
Big
think so
pumpkin.
too. This last year too, at an event that's in our area, the guy, I don't know if he had to move it off of something to get it onto something else. It was his big gigantic pumpkin he
Yeah, on a
dropped it and
pallet.
it broke. It broke. It broke. Yes. And my mom was like, "Oh my God, it broke on it." I'm like, "No way." I was like, "Oh my
That's his
gosh."
whole world.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, that had to be devastating. So
Yeah.
but okay, let's rein it in. I want to talk more about your event. So tell me about
Yes.
you have other vendors. So people that would attend your event, what type of vendors do you have there? Like any
Yeah.
type of vendor?
Yeah, so we keep it pretty local. So it's a lot of local vendors. So we have like a goat soap maker, maple syrup. We have a clothing boutique. We have a candle maker. We have a bread gal that comes. Um, Grass-fed beef.
Oh,
What else? And so we do it really unique where we will only allow one vendor per trade to come in because
that's good.
it's just one vendor per trade. Yeah, what else do we have? Oh, we had a coffee gal come last year. She came and
Oh,
set up a coffee booth and made
that would be
coffees and
so
yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Honey, local honey, kombucha. Yeah, we it was pretty cool.
that's awesome. And I know your mom
Yeah.
said she had a booth, I think last
Yes,
year.
yes, she decorates for us.
Yes,
So she
yes.
sprinkles her stuff in there.
I
Yes.
love it.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, that sounds amazing. So you said May 10th. Is it just a one-day event or is it like
One
over
day event. 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. we do that on May 10th.
May 10th? So everyone, Stanley, Wisconsin, and
Yes.
you have an address that you can tell everyone.
Yes. My address is fussy. So you have to use Google Maps and just type
Okay.
in Life Fruit Farm, Stanley, Wisconsin, and it'll bring you right here.
It will. Okay, perfect. Yes,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I know all about these Google Maps and where they bring you because I had an event, my very first event last year, and they got taken all over the place to get to the
Yeah.
location where my retreat was. And I was like, I am so sorry, but it's
Right.
fine.
Right.
So
Yep.
it's
Yep.
amazing. Like one little thing off and they're going somewhere else. So
It is. Yeah.
well, gosh, you have so much going on, and I absolutely love what you're doing.
Thank you.
I just, I love that you've incorporated your family and your business is continuously growing. One last question. Where do you feel I know I didn't actually put this on, like, I always give
Oh, yeah.
questions, but where do you
Yeah.
think you see your business in 5 years?
Mm.
Trick question, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fun to dream, right? It's fun to
Yeah,
dream. So yeah, I would like that seed farm to take off,
yep,
to have a good size catalog, and varieties to pick from. I would, yeah, a storefront is been my dream.
like,
Yeah,
on your property?
yeah, I don't care where it is, honestly.
Okay.
Yes, we just purchased a corner field, and so I can see a like a barn storefront over there, and more markets. Like, yeah, mhm.
Yes, yes. Okay, I
And
know,
in
I
classes, yeah,
in classes, yes, that would
yep,
be amazing. Yeah, I think you should definitely lean in on those workshops. I think that's really gonna
yeah,
help.
yeah,
Um, yeah, because I just know that from, like, I'm in a completely different niche as you,
right,
but
right,
when a workshop is hosted and you show something and then you have your products available, you'll definitely it will help you out tremendously, I'm sure, in so many ways. So,
good, good, good,
yeah.
good, yeah.
Yeah. So, where can my viewers find you if they want to be inspired and learn about your farm? What socials are you all on?
Yeah, so we're on Instagram and Facebook as Life Root Farm.
Okay.
And then our website is liferootfarm.com.
Yes. Perfect. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much for being on my
Yeah.
podcast. I just
Thank
love that
you.
my viewers have had the opportunity to meet you and just really see how amazing you truly are. So thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
yeah, thank
Um,
you.
Yes. So, you guys, in next week's episode, I am going to be talking about overwhelm in your small business. Do you feel like there's never enough time in a day to complete all the tasks on that to do list? We're going to dive into overwhelm, and I'm going to give you some tips to help you and your small business. So, mark that one on your calendar. And if you guys are listening on any of the social or on any of the podcast platforms, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you guys don't miss out on an episode. And you guys can find me on Instagram and Facebook as well. And if you're watching this on YouTube, definitely subscribe to my channel and let me know what you guys are thinking about the podcast in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and we're going to see you in the next one. Bye.